Hello and welcome to Cognitions, Speaking the Unspeakable with JP.
And Stacy D.
I'm JP Craddock and I am joined by the one and only Stacy D. Love. We are broadcasting here on KUAW Radio, which stands for Knowledge, Understanding,
And wisdom.
All right, coming up on the show today, our question of the day is, what does the therapy for addictions look like, and can it be used for all addictions or just drug addictions? Now, you do not have to, I'm not going to get into it right now, but you do not have to struggle with an addiction in order for today's show to be relevant. Because when it comes to those who are struggling with addictions, I always at some point ask them to invite their support system in to learn what their cycle looks like, what their triggers look like, their high-risk situations, so that they can support them in relapse prevention.
That's the important part.
That's the important part. And there's a far greater chance for success when the spouse or whoever the family members are is also aware of what triggers them to fall into their cycle and fall into relapse. So if you even have a loved one or a friend, family member who struggles with addictions, you can get something from the show today, because I'm going to outline the whole process of relapse prevention planning.
And everyone, please remember that it is so many different addictions. It doesn't have to be drugs. It doesn't not have to be gambling. It does not have to be sex. I mean, anything that you do obsessively all of the time and you have to have it, or it just messes with your being, yourself, or even other people, that isn't an addiction.
Yeah, and you crave it. And what we're going to cover today is applicable across the board for addictions: alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex.
What about
Stacy
shopping?
has said. Shopping. Yes. I'm presenting a general approach that can be used to treat whatever the addiction is.
Even a shopping addiction.
Even my ice cream addiction, if I wanted help.
You don't want no help?
I don't. I love ice cream. But yes, I'm not borderline for shopping addiction. I once was, but the pandemic took care of that. All right.
How did it take care of it? It was even worse. You just get on the phone and do it.
Well, yeah, I guess Amazon counts. All the packages.
Every day.
The packages. I love when the packages show up. All right, what's your check-in, D? Oh, how's Dream?
Dream is good. Dream had some shots today, and she didn't even cry. Dream was better than my own children. They used to cry, and especially my daughter Danielle. Like when she'll start crying before she even gets the shot, and she's really finna get me. Like I used to have to ask the doctor. You know, you get those boosters at 3 and 4, and she was potty trained. I used to ask the doctor, "Can I have a trash can liner? Because it's gonna be an accident today."
Right. But Dream handled it well.
She didn't even cry. She didn't do nothing. The vet was like, "Oh my God, she's a pro."
That's something.
And she's 2 pounds and 6 ounces now.
Okay. This is good. Well, I'm glad that Dream survived, because my baby does not do well with the shots. So
exactly.
It turns into a full situation.
That's how Danielle was.
A full situation. All right, here's my check-in.
I had a check-in.
Oh, I thought.
No, you asked how was
tripping.
Dream.
Oh, yeah, that was me checking for you.
Yeah,
okay,
for
what you got?
Yeah. Don't come for me now. But okay, so if you don't know, I'm getting my whole kitchen redone.
Ooh.
I should have just left it looking like 2000.
This is nice. The kitchen redone. What, is there something wrong?
I'm just tired of people being in my house already.
Oh, okay. But they're doing okay.
Well, no, not really, because
Don't say the name of the company unless.
No, we need to name them Two Old Men Construction.
Are they old?
No, but they
they're
slow.
Yeah, they're slow.
But they're doing a lot. I mean, because I was gonna get new cabinets. They told me I didn't need to get new cabinets. I mean, I love the work that they're doing, but they actually put some things on my cabinets to make them look like.
All they had to
more
do was change the
modern.
hardware.
No, they did some more stuff too. You have to come over to the house and see.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're painting. They're gonna paint them, and they did some little a lip on them, and then putting a light up underneath them.
I need their information.
You already have their information.
It's the ones that you had come by my house?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, my kitchen is gonna look phenomenal when it gets done, but it's just like taking so long because I go in there like, okay, y'all know how. Okay, so what are we gonna work on today? They look at me and like, can you please leave us alone?
Two old men.
Two of them. So then
They wasn't even willing to do the job at my house.
really, it must have been a lot of.
It was
like,
a lot. They was like,
plumbing or
"Ooh, we don't have
something.
enough time for this."
Because they
We too-
always busy.
We two old men.
Two slow old men. And so they're like excellent painters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're painting.
So
and,
they
you know,
can do
have
some
accent.
painting for me.
Yeah, they have I'm doing an accent wall, and I mean my whole kitchen is gonna be basically like white, clear, and gray.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yes. One of them is really, really good with helping you bring everything together. Like, bring your idea. You tell the idea, and he just brings it together. I'm like, yeah. I'm tired of going to Lowe's, Menards, and Home Depot. How about that?
But this is good to hear. So, they're not the one for plumbing,
No.
but they will hook
They
up
do
your
a little
kitchen.
bit of plumbing. They're just not master plumbers.
Okay, they
Yeah.
wasn't ready for the level of plumbing that
The
I was
level of
talking
plumbing that you needed, they wasn't ready for that. But like mine, they're going and putting in new, just some new pipes in there, the ones that look old or stuff like that. Yeah, and I
Tell them I want my counters redone.
Oh, they have a granite man. I'm going to go pick out my granite next Friday.
Okay, that's great.
I'm gonna go down to the place. They're letting me go down to the place because they already see that I'm gonna be a little, I guess, a hard worker. I mean, a hard customer or something. What, Mr. Walker?
Mr. Walker, for those who cannot hear, Mr. Walker in the background, like, imagine that. The D being hard to deal
Hard to
with.
deal with.
Not the D.
I just like having a plan, and mind you, I do not feel as though that I'm a controlling type of person. Do you see that in me, JP?
Yeah, D.
Really?
Uh-huh. I could see if you have somebody in your house, you gonna be on them.
Because you know that I don't
About
have much company. That's why I
exactly-
moved way out, so I wouldn't get that much company.
Right. But I can see you want it done how you want it done.
Yeah, and we just need to have a plan. If you're going to paint it, I need you to paint it. Don't tell me that you left your paint thing. And I said, well, don't they sell them at Lowe's and Home Depot? You got me going there every day, go pick it up.
And I'd have sent him to my basement, go downstairs and get one and start painting. Because I got all that.
But they're doing better. I mean, I guess.
Okay.
I just have an issue about leaving someone in my home. But I do have cameras.
Okay. Are they affordable?
Most definitely. And they threw it
Did
up in
you
my face today.
compare
Yeah.
them to other people?
Yeah. For what they charging me, this one guy, what they're charging me to do my whole construction of my whole kitchen, because they're actually building me a pantry. Because I didn't have a pantry in my kitchen.
Okay.
So they building me a pantry. So everything that they're doing is only $1,500 more than what this other contractor was only going to do, paint my cabinets and do me a floor.
Oh.
But they're doing like countertops. They're painting.
Everything.
They doing everything for only $1,500 more.
That's pretty good.
I mean, they're building me a pantry in my kitchen.
That's good to have a pantry. Our previous owners got rid of the pantry and
What?
replaced it with the breakfast room.
No, I would have want a pantry. I'm sorry.
Well, I like the breakfast room, although we never use it. But I miss a pantry would be nice. There's not enough
Yes.
room for the food.
And I just do not, since I'm getting these real pretty countertops, I already know the ones I want. I want white, gray with some sparkle in them. I don't want anything on my countertops now.
Okay. Well, this is good. Well, D, you need to bring pictures.
Oh, I am. I have before and
Mr.
afters.
Walker can post the pictures. Hook them up.
I am.
It's going to
before and
generate them
after.
some business.
Yes,
Tell them
most
to take
definitely.
off another 1,000.
Yeah, we can use
real.
some before and afters.
I have the befores.
Okay.
right.
Yep, and I can't wait to do the after.
Before and after pictures. Tell them to take $1,000 off. You'll put it on the show.
Exactly.
And somebody did put up KMSL, you silly.
Who's silly?
Stacy D.
Somebody silly, I guess. Okay, I still don't like them in my home, though.
Okay. Here's
Wait a minute. Might be the contractors. I thought I was going to go do the radio show. Oh, wait a minute. Or it might be some of my suitors.
I'm
Who
so
knows?
tired of your people.
Who knows?
Listen, I know I know we're supposed to want people to watch the show, but your people eavesdrop on the show. The people who really should not be listening to the show are listening to the show. All your men, and now the contractors. Tell them get to work.
Get to work.
Contractors.
Get to work.
Get to work.
2 old men contract. Contract.
They
Yeah,
probably
get to
not
work.
gonna like being called too old.
2 old men.
They wasn't that
But they
old.
do great work. They're a little slow, but they do great work.
it
But
sounds
it's
like
only
they're
been
doing great.
since Monday.
I
And
wouldn't care how
and they
long
told
they
me it was
take.
going to be 2 weeks.
If they're affordable, I would not and do a good job. I wouldn't care how long they take.
Oh, I got one of those patio doors. Like they took out my whole patio door, and I've been one of those patio doors that have the blind in the inside.
Inside the glass.
Yes, I wanted
That's
that.
Good. That's good. Okay, so I can't wait to see those before and after pictures. Here's my check-in for today. I want to talk during our bonus segment. I wanted us to cover red flags. And here's the reason why. When I am working with single people, one of the mistakes that they commonly make is missing red flags. When you're dating and someone exhibits a certain trait or characteristic, a mannerism, a behavior that in your mind you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that. Well, it'll get better. This is where the problem comes in. It'll get better, or maybe I'm just tripping, or once we get rolling and we have feelings, he'll stop or she'll stop, and and people ignore these red flags. This is a problem. Now, my check-in, because I'm going to talk about that more when we get to the bonus segment, because there are some red flags with Stacy D's suitors. And for those suitors out there
That's probably listening.
who are watching,
Listening.
or listening to the show, you know if I'm talking about you. And we're going to discuss some of those red flags because I think that the D goes too easy when it comes to red flags.
I don't think I go easy at all. I just
think-
block.
I think you not blocking fast enough.
I'm not blocking fast.
That's the problem. And so you allow the red flag to get real big and real red.
Big
And I'm
red,
like,
big red flags.
big and red. And I'm like, why is she allowing herself to continue to have dialogue with this fool? But what I was thinking about, so I was thinking that red flags didn't apply to me because I'm married and everything. But then I thought about it. I still apply red flags in all of my interactions with all humans. Professionally, even when it comes to, I don't really make a whole lot of new friends because I've had most of my friends for like over 30 years. I'm too old to be making new friends.
It's a song like that. No new friends.
No new friends because after you old, you got friends. You don't need new friends.
Unless you go to the senior living, then you're gonna have to get some new friends then.
And I'm gonna be looking out for red flags when I get to the old folks' home. Okay, I will be, because something I thought about that I hadn't realized that I do is I do not allow any humans in my life if I spot a red flag. Now check this out.
Uh-oh.
This is professionally.
He's on his phone.
I
Somebody's
got
about
this-
to get blocked.
I got this.
Or they're gonna block
I already
him.
got rid of this person. I got this text from this person who was wanting to perhaps enter therapy.
Ooh.
And so she sent the text and, I responded, who's the EAP through, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so on a Monday, she texted. Now, mind you, I had responded to her on Saturday, all right, asking her who the EAP is through. She responded at 7:55 p.m. Now, I sent her a message at 9-something in the morning Saturday because I do work 6 days a week. So you can't text me on Saturday.
But 7 p.m. at night?
Exactly. She responded at 7:55 p.m. I don't work until 7:55 p.m. Who's working at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday night? And so I didn't respond.
Actually stopped by then.
Yeah, I didn't respond because I was done working. I get off at 4 on Saturday. I allow myself to get off early. Well, the next day was Easter. Apparently, she expected me to either respond at 8 o'clock at night on Saturday or to respond on Easter. And so Monday, on Easter. So on Monday, I get a message saying, hello, is this a professional service? And can you help or should I look elsewhere?
Look elsewhere. How about that?
I've been trying to get set up with you since last week. So my response,
Let's hear this.
I said, I apologize for the delays. It can take a couple of days to get through my text because I work from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I don't work on Sundays. And I almost said, especially if
Easter.
it's Easter.
Because JP has to eat.
It's Easter.
Resurrection Day.
Yes. Who is working? Okay. And so I then said, it might be best for you to seek out a therapist that can respond more promptly. Once again, I apologize for the inconvenience.
Oh, that was so
That was
nice.
a nice way of saying,
Bye.
Get the hell on. And here's the reason. Here's what the red
It's a
flag
song.
was.
It's a song says that too. Get the hell on.
We need to play it for her. Get the hell on. Now, here's what the red flags was. Professionally or personally, I do not allow humans in my life who are, one, willing to be rude when they haven't even met me yet. She didn't even know me. She was already being rude,
Passing judgment and all
and
that.
snappy.
And
She was
snappy.
insulting. She questioned my professionalism.
And whoa. Don't do that to JP, boy. You might get drop kick. Because he takes this very, 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 very seriously. Tell him, JP.
I am not the one for that. Don't question my profession. And this is what I love about texting, because referral sources will always contact me and say, so-and-so said that they reached out to you. I'm able to take a screenshot. This person has never contacted me. Or I'll send them a screenshot. This person contacted me after you contacted me. They said they had contacted me before that, but it was a lie. So the good thing about text is you can track the times and everything. I was able to look and see, like, why would she expect me to respond to her at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday? Why did she expect me to respond on Easter? So here's the red flag. If someone is entering your world romantically, professionally, if you self-employed, I guess, if you work for somebody, you might not have this option, or on a personal level as a friend. If they are immediately rude to you, that should be everybody's red flag, not just mine. If they are insulting in some way, and we're going to talk about that when we get to the bonus segment, that is a red flag. That should be everybody's red flag. Now, I have some additional red flags. One, I don't allow people into my world who are overly and excessively time conscious. Now, let me explain. I tend to run late. And all my friends that been in my life for 30 plus years, I hear enough crap from them about me being late. I don't allow anybody else into my world who might have that issue. Now, this is not me making allowances for my tardiness, because I do try my best. I try my best to be on time. Lord knows I do. But it is a struggle for me, and I don't need more people who going to have an issue with that. I got enough people who have an issue with that. My other red flag is, and I don't know this person, but there is a personality disorder called borderline personality disorder, and she exhibited some of the traits of that. And I don't work with those people in therapy.
Hell no.
They drive therapists crazy. And we might cover that diagnosis one day. We
I
don't
think
have time
we
to
need
cover
to.
it. But because she immediately presented with the
Rah,
red
rah.
flags of possibly having borderline personality disorder, she needed to go. So I'm covering this because I want everybody to know, please do not ignore red flags. Do not. Every single time I have had a client who is having romantic relationship difficulties, when we go back, because I like for people to go back, let's go back. How did this relationship unfold? They always end up revealing a ridiculous amount of red flags. And they're like, well, I just thought it would get better. I thought it would go away. No, red flags don't go away or get better. They get bigger and redder.
Big red.
Big and red.
That's a soda pop.
That is so good. Okay,
It
that's my
is.
check-in.
Okay, so we don't have time for all the rest of your stuff. It's already 30 minutes after. Where did
No,
the
it's
time-
not.
What time is
It's
it?
23 minutes after. We got time.
Where did the time go?
Okay,
Well,
let's get to mental health and illness in the news. We got time because our question of the day is going to be short.
okay. don't
And they
forget
say the
bonus.
2 old men are going to fire you.
Oh, the two old men. Why?
The 2 old slow men. They probably will. No, they won't.
Why are they listening to the show instead of working?
They might not fire me.
You
They like
hired
seeing my
them.
pretty face every day. Cause I was like, good morning.
This is what I like about the two old men right now. They gonna fire the person who hired them. I do that all the time. I fire people from therapy. They like, wait a minute, I pay you and you're fired.
And you're fired.
Right. But the two old men are not going to get rid of you. Two old men, I need y'all to change out my countertop since you watching the show instead of working.
Exactly.
Okay, mental health and illness in the news. I was not going to cover this story, but it has turned into a top news story, and it involves a great deal of domestic violence, so we kind of have to address it. We did a show on male victims of domestic
Yes,
violence.
we did. We actually did that for 2 shows.
I was
Two
not.
shows.
It took 2 shows to cover it. I was not going to cover this Johnny Depp Amber Heard story, but we have to. Okay. So Johnny Depp filed a lawsuit against his ex-wife for defamation, okay, saying she committed some libel, some slander. Here's the thing. He's presenting that he basically is a male victim of domestic violence. What's interesting is that he presented evidence of it. He recorded her and caught her basically yelling at him for crying about her hitting him. And so she was saying, you are such a baby. I was just hitting you. You're not hurt.
Right. You're not hurt. But I'm going to keep hitting on you, but you're not hurt.
And they allowed him to play the audio recording on the stand because he took the stand. Now, here's what's interesting. She, some years ago, and there were magazine pictures on the cover of magazines of her with 2 black eyes, not 1 but 2. She had went and filed a restraining order claiming that he had abused her. What has come out in this trial is that, 1, he was in Australia at the time, and
Her other boyfriend.
whatever building they live in caught her on surveillance camera. Her sister punching her in the face. Them laughing, and Mr. Walker's cracking up. And then she goes to the police station to file the restraining order, claiming that he did it. Fortunately, not only was he in Australia, he was laid up in a hospital at the time. So he's like,
Okay, is that
she's
the dumb
insane.
people? Yeah, insane and dumb. That's
She's insane. And so this is unfolding, and it's so explosive that it is a top news story on CNN. Like
seriously.
they deviated from other stories to cover the trial. But it just made me think about us covering male victims of domestic violence, and that Johnny Depp says, they asked, why did you stay? He said, I stayed because my mother stayed. He witnessed domestic violence, multi-generational.
We have discussed that too.
We talked about that.
Our children's teachers.
He watched his mother be victimized, and
How
she
long
stayed.
Had they been married?
The fighting started immediately.
Oh.
They wasn't married long. He was with the mother of his children for like 15 years, and he dated Winona Ryder in the past. I think the whole marriage was maybe 5 or 6 years. Violent and out of control the whole time. All right, here's the next story.
I'm sorry, but it's not funny. I'm just imagining her, pop, get up. You're not hurt.
Yeah. She went off. Told him, you, quote unquote, you are such a baby, Johnny. Screaming at him because he's like, you hurting
me.
He would retreat to the bathroom to escape the psychological abuse
and the physical.
And it would escalate to physical. And after a while, when they would travel, he would rent another hotel room so that if it started to pop off, he would just go to the other hotel room.
Wow.
To escape.
Wow.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
Here's the other story. An 8-year-old boy in Syracuse was taken into custody for stealing a bag of potato chips. Okay. The boy was not handcuffed. A bystander recorded the incident and was enraged. So this man is screaming at the police officers because the boy was crying. He's crying profusely because, he done got busted stealing his bag of chips. They did not handcuff him, though. And so what the police officers ended up doing was putting him in the back of the squad car and taking him straight home because the officer knew the boy. So he took him home to his daddy.
He's 8 years old by himself at 8 years old in a store?
I don't know where he was stealing. I think he was stealing from a school. I don't know how the police ended up involved, but the officer took him home to his father. No charges were pressed. Okay. Now, the officers are under fire for 2 reasons. One, should the officers have checked the irate man who was videotaping the incident, because he was yelling at them and they decided to check him. They didn't yell and cuss him out. They just was checking him like, okay, if he break into your house one day, then what you going to be saying? So they was checking him.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that comment.
2, they are under fire because should they have transported the boy in the police vehicle? Now, what are your thoughts on this, D?
Mr. Walker over there shaking his head.
Mr. Walker, do you have thought? Mr. Walker, you need to get on the. You need to get on the.
That's
mic.
all about nothing.
It's all about nothing. I found it to be stupid, and here's the reason why. We are so quick, and I wanted to cover this on the show because I have spent so much time dropping bombs on the popos for Ahmaud Arbery and every other horrible case of racism and police brutality. At the same time, I always say we have to be objective and we have to be fair. Right is right and wrong is wrong. 1, the boy was stealing. Somebody called the popos probably to teach him a lesson. 2, they didn't handcuff him. 3, they took the boy home to his father. They didn't take him to the police station and throw him in a jail cell with a bunch of grown men.
We used to call that scared straight.
They was trying to scare the boy straight. All right? And so they took him home to his father. The complaint, well, they shouldn't have put him in the back of the squad car.
No, he needed to be in there.
What other car would they put him in? Yeah. Their personal cars
Cadillac.
are at the station. So what
think it
other
was all
car would they take
justifiable.
him in? And so I can even understand the comment about if he breaks into your house one day, because what the police officers and whoever called the police was most likely thinking is, okay, we need to address this behavior now, because if we don't, it can grow. And so this is an incident
stealing
where
stealing potato chips, stealing cars, stealing, going in the banks,
Well, because
killing people, stealing cars. Yes.
stealing can become an addictive behavior. Since we're talking about addictions later today, I have seen many people who steal. It is an addiction. I'm talking people who have money. They have enough money to buy everything in the store, and they up in there stealing. So it needed to be
Something that
addressed.
costs $1.50 at that.
So my point is, we cannot be so quick to scrutinize the police to the point that we are no longer objective, and then in an incident where they really have handled the situation appropriately, everybody
did.
You know, HLN had this African American male attorney on there talking about how the police officers were wrong and they shouldn't have put him in the back of a squad car, and I'm like, shut up, you're stupid.
I agree with you, JP.
And just because you are a black male and you on national TV does not mean that you need to say things to just try to blend in with what you think is going to be politically correct. Right is right and wrong is wrong. So yes, do we have white police officers arresting a young black male for stealing potato chips? Yes, but they handled the situation appropriately, and there are enough officers out there doing things inappropriately that we don't need to be focusing on the ones who are handling the situation appropriately. That's not right.
Exactly.
And it makes you look stupid when you do that. Okay.
And if it was old school, I can imagine how his father handled it after the police brought him home.
You know, the father probably had some business.
Hey, for real. If it was out of my home, you would have.
Right. You showing up in a squad car because you stealing potato
chips,
boy,
and I probably have a cupboard full of them and some down in the basement.
You gonna hate potato chips
When I get done. You can be like, don't even say potato, okay?
Right. Okay. Question of the day. What does the therapy for addictions look like, and can it be used for all addictions? We've already answered that question, or just drug addictions. Okay, so let's take a look at the therapy for addictions. This is relapse prevention planning. Relapse prevention planning is a combination of two types of psychotherapy: cognitive behavioral therapy and rational emotive psychotherapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, Cognitions, because y'all watching Cognitions.
Speaking of Unspeakable.
So everybody should know by now that cognitions are our thoughts. And so if you are wanting to alter a behavior that has become addictive, you have to take a look at your thoughts. Okay, because our thoughts precede our behaviors, hence cognitive behavioral therapy. You want to look at the thoughts that lead to the behavior. Rational emotive psychotherapy takes a look at how our thoughts create our feelings, which then dictates our behavior. And so if I have a thought that, oh, this police officer is being unfair to this young black boy, that thought is going to lead to the feeling of anger, which then leads to the behavior of me yelling and berating police officers while I'm recording them. Mm-hmm. So the key to controlling our behavior is to have more control over our feelings and our thoughts. Yes, right. Control your thoughts first, and that will result in you controlling your feelings and controlling your behavior. Mm-hmm. That's rational emotive psychotherapy. So here's the process. The first thing you want to do in confronting an addiction, and the first thing that you would do in therapy, is the therapist is going to want you to identify your cycle. Okay? The cycle meaning everything that leads up to the relapse. And what I always do is have a person start at the beginning of the day from when they woke up and walk me through their day. In walking through the day, we're going to identify what leads up to you ending up high or drunk or at the casino or, you know.
Or I just woke up like this. I woke up and
I'm still tipsy from last night.
So I need to get another drink to make me feel better.
There are people who wake up tipsy.
Yes.
All right. And so in taking a look at this, in looking at the cycle, once you identify the cycle, what you're going to pull from the cycle is internal and external high-risk situations. Internal high-risk situations are thoughts and feelings, which is what we were just discussing.
Internal.
Okay, this is the rational emotive piece. External high-risk situations is the same definition as the definition of a noun, which is people, places, and things. So if a person is walking me through their cycle and they say, well, I woke up, and usually what happens is they just go straight to their behavior. I woke up and I went to the refrigerator and I grabbed a beer and I started chugging. Okay, if you remember, though, that our body does not act without our mind telling it to act. So I always make them go back and identify the thoughts that preceded that action, the thoughts that preceded it, the feelings that the thoughts that then led to the feelings that then led to the behavior. All right. Those are the internal and external high-risk situations. All right. So let me give you an example of this. An example of thought leading to feelings leading to actions. And I chose an example that came up 3 times this week. Okay. The thought that the clients had was, I have to go to work. My boss is a tyrant. These are thoughts. The workload is impossible. I'm combining several people. These are the things that they had to say about their jobs. Okay. The workload is impossible. And I suck at this job. I am always in trouble. This is not what I went to school for. Okay. All these thoughts are leading them to self-medicate in the manner that they do. Drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever. Those thoughts, of course, would automatically lead to the feelings that they identified, which is, I feel miserable. I feel hopeless that I'm ever going to be free from this. I feel incompetent. I hate it. All of those feelings then led to the thought, because we still on internal high-risk situations, thoughts, and feelings. I need a hit.
Need a hit. Make you feel better.
I need a drink.
Poof, and it's gone.
Want to feel better.
You think it's making you feel better.
You think it's
you
gone.
Think. But after you come back down, it's still there. And then they got to go get another one.
When you come back down, not only are those problems still there, but the additional problems from you relapsing are now there, because you got your spouse standing over you like, why are you drunk again?
Why?
I told you I was leaving you. If you
and why you not at
home.
work? Because now you done got too drunk to go to work.
And let me tell you, this is so true. I had a client who hated his job so much that he would stop at the liquor store on his way to work and then get drunk and wouldn't make it to work. Because he hated his Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, that's not funny, Mr. Walker. This man had a problem.
He really, and not to mention he was driving and drinking and driving.
Yes. And it took months for me to get him to start job hunting and find another job. Okay. And so those are internal and internal high-risk situations, thoughts and feelings. But in identifying the cycle, you also have to take a look at how the internal high-risk situations lead to the external high-risk situations, people, places, and things. So the example like we just used, the external high-risk situation would be driving to the liquor store. Walking into the liquor store. Because if you're an alcoholic, the last place you're supposed to be
is at the liquor store.
Is at the liquor store.
Or even in grocery stores that have liquor stores.
Do not be in the liquor department of
at the Walmart.
Right. Go get your bananas and pork chops. Get away from the liquor section. Okay. And so in working with clients on relapse prevention and identifying their cycle, helping them to identify, these are my internal high-risk situations. These are the thoughts that I need to pay attention to. Thoughts, triggers. These are the thoughts that lead to me drinking. And these thoughts lead to these feelings, which are also an internal high-risk situation. And it then leads to the external high-risk situation of me driving my car in the direction of the liquor store, getting out of the car and walking in the liquor store. I'm surrounded by booze and I'm thirsty. Supposed to be at work by now. Purchasing the alcohol is an external high risk situation. Getting in the car with the alcohol is an
And
external high risk
opening it up.
situation. Opening it is an external high risk
Guzzling
situation.
it down.
That's the relapse. So all of these internal high risk situations that then lead to all of these external high risk situations, which then lead to the relapse. So, of course, relapse prevention planning is a process of identifying all those and then coming up with interventions for each and every single one of them. And so what we do is, for this thought that I suck at this job, what is the intervention for that? Because sometimes they really do suck at the job.
Start getting your resume looking for another job.
Or get better at the
Or
dang
get better
job.
at the job. That's the easy one, but maybe they can't.
Then you need to find another
Then you need
job.
to find another job.
But I have had clients who I've had to address with them where you should have been written up. You screwed up. You did a bad job. Like, they paid you for 8 hours of work and they checked your stats and you did 30 minutes of work. So you do suck at the job. And so in those instances, it's like, okay, how can we work on you doing a better job so that you don't start thinking about how much you suck and how much you got rolled up and then you want to go and gamble? No, do a better job. If you're unable to do a better job, like Stacy D said, find a better job. But the relapse prevention planning process is taking a look at all of those internal high-risk situations and coming up with interventions to prevent you from continuing along that cycle. So imagine there's a cycle and you just put a wall up after every single high-risk situation to prevent you from continuing along that pattern until you fully relapse. And so the internal high-risk situation of hopelessness, I'm never going to be happy, I'm never going to be able to find another job. The intervention for that is working with the client on challenging those distorted cognitions, erroneous thoughts. And hey, who says you can't? You found this job, so obviously you're able to find a job. And this is not the first job you've ever had. So you can find another job. You attack that hopelessness. Once you have interventions for each and every single internal and external high-risk situation, that rounds out the relapse prevention plan. And then at that point, if you have not already invited your family in to share your cycle with all of your internal high-risk situations, all of your external high-risk situations, and the intervention for those, you need to at least invite them in then. Because the spouse needs to know.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like, if you're the spouse, you need to know that when your spouse wakes up in the morning, they automatically start having these negative thoughts and having these feelings, all these things that lead to relapse, so that you can say, hey, honey, are you okay? Well, no, I'm not okay. Like, I dread going to this job. I'm bad at this job, and I'm real thirsty right now.
Real thirsty, and not for water.
Right, and not for water. Not for water. Water would not do the trick. The whole self-medicating. And then that spouse can say, honey, and work with you and help you get in touch with the interventions. Like, okay, now remember we talked about this in therapy and da-da-da-da, and we have a plan to get you out of this job and da-da-da-da, to help get you back on track. That's the reason why I said, even if you yourself do not have an addiction, if you have a loved one who does, you need to be a part of this therapy. Battling and overcoming addictions is so hard to do by yourself.
Oh, most definitely.
You need the support of the loved ones. Mm-hmm. And so that's basically the relapse prevention planning process. Okay, D.
That was good.
I told you it was going to be short, too. I was off camera. I rolled through that, like, quick. Okay.
I know.
Are we ready for the bonus segment?
Ding, 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 ding.
There's some...
Whoa, wait a minute. Somebody said, you tend to run late.
Yeah, that was early.
Who they talking to?
Must be you, because you know I don't run late.
You lucky I don't know who you are.
I know.
You know who it is. Oh, okay.
Yes, you can post your questions or comments or reflections on here. It doesn't show the name. It just puts your comment on.
Right. You lucky you anonymous. Stacy D,
Yes, JP.
can you update us on the dating app experience? And then I'm going
It's terrible.
to
It's terrible.
address some of these red flags.
I don't know. Do I track all the wrong men or what? I don't know. I mean, okay.
You attracting some real foul individuals.
I know. It's like really terrible.
Stacy D, can you point out the red flags? I'm curious to know if you.
Well, number one is they talk a little too rough, and I'm just not in that
That's
state
a
of
red
mind
flag.
right now. I mean, in my 20s and 30s, I get back at you, but right now, I got all this love to give, and I just want to be loved. So all that rough talking and
street talking,
I don't want to deal with that.
let me explain why this is a red flag. These men, she's being polite, calling it rough talk. I'm talking some downright crude, crass, damn street talk. And what was surprising to me, I'm like, okay, they don't know you, and why are they not talking to you like you're a lady?
Exactly.
As opposed to some of these things that they are making comments. You would need to know somebody for at least a good 20 years for them to even joke in the manner that they have been joking in, or not joking.
Yeah. I think they're really trying to some of them are trying to fill me out to see if I'm a give it up girl or,
Well, I'm going to give you an example. And I'm not going to read what was said because it's not even appropriate to read on the radio. But for those of you who are going through this dating app experience and trying this out along with Stacy D, or those of you who are just single, please, it should be a red flag for you if the fool's talking to you like you some like skanky broad off the streets, okay? Talking to you in a manner that is insulting and demeaning. One gentleman, I don't know what you had said to him, but he went from talking about your eyes hurting to using an inappropriate term to describe your genitalia, which had nothing. We talking about two totally different parts of the body.
all the way from north to south.
And then resorted to using terms like it's not appropriate to read on the radio.
It's not.
I don't even know
It's
how
not.
to summarize it in a way that would be appropriate. But making negative comments about genitalia and funky you know what, and I just found it to be crude. Even if it was supposed to be in jest.
But you don't know me like that to talk to
You
like
don't
that.
joke with somebody like that.
Mm-mm.
Even like it was so crass and disrespectful because you're a
got
lady.
blocked.
And I'm like, who would be talking to somebody like this that they're trying to date? So that's a red flag. Somebody talking to you like they talking to their boys out on a corner somewhere, like drinking, and you're a lady. Ditch that person immediately. And Stacy D, I felt like once you got that message, you should not have even responded to him ever again after that.
And I didn't. He's blocked.
So you ditched him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's blocked.
The next,
Everything, because now you have to block him on Facebook and everything.
well, he went from insulting
Messenger?
you. He went from insulting you to asking, could y'all shower together? This is another red flag. This is another red flag. If someone who is trying to date you talks to you like you some person off the street 1 minute, and then they are quickly making sexual innuendos, and they don't even know you
They
like
don't even
that.
know me like that.
They're basically calling you a whore.
Mm-hmm.
And they are also saying, I can insult you and even use crude terms to describe your vagina, but then ask to take a shower with you so I can get a little bit of it. That is not
But maybe
somebody...
he's trying to make sure it was washed up or something.
You are not going to end up with a legitimate relationship with an
Not at all.
individual like that.
Not at
That
all.
is a red flag. And at that point, when you see a red flag, you are to ditch a person. Eliminate them from your world immediately. You don't even have to bother going back and forth with them to check them. You just need to be done.
Just be done. Because you don't even know them, so there's nothing invested in. I have no investment in you, so
Exactly.
it's over.
Now, here's another red flag. If you using a dating app, and I'm a little leery of men who want you to travel to come see them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a total perfect stranger. Like,
Exactly.
you do not know them at all.
Don't do it.
One, if a fool isn't willing to come to you, to me it's like, okay, you have what a gentleman would do, which is if he picks you up, he opens the door, for you. Y'all get to the restaurant, he opens the door. These may sound like old-fashioned
No,
things.
no. These are things that men need to do.
These
for
are things
women.
that men need to do.
Most definitely.
These are the kind of things that fathers, as well as
Do their
mothers, are
daughters.
supposed to teach their sons to do and are supposed to teach their daughters to expect. Okay?
That's right.
Now, if you can't get a person to be willing to come to you, I don't understand why all these men want you to come to them.
I know, and that's scary.
And then the man invited Stacy D to come to him. He hadn't even gave her his full name.
Exactly. She want me to come see you. I don't even know your name.
The D asked the fool for his name. He went off on her.
He went off on me.
And I couldn't believe the man went off on the D and told her, you ain't got to come nowhere.
Guess what? I'm not.
I asked for your name.
I asked for your name.
And so the D says, hold on, let me find this. Because you asked him, well, think about it. You was being very nice and very polite.
I'm being very nice.
This is the problem, though, with, even though I just said, don't even bother checking the food, just weed the food out. But as I was looking, I was like, the D probably need to cuss him out. But I know you don't cuss people out anymore.
Don't do that anymore.
But it was so off-putting that I was like, he deserves to at least be called an MF. But
That's
you
a
didn't do it.
compound word.
But you didn't do it. You didn't do it, which is good. Because I was just caught up in my anger, like, why is he acting like that? And so the D says, are you ready to give me your real name? He gives a name. The D asks, can I have your last name too? Mind you, he asked her to travel out of town. She's
I
like,
have to go do a run.
fool, who are you? Because she need to do a background check. Okay. And so he then says, you tripping.
I'm tripping.
Okay. Now, the D, you did, jokingly, you said, last name, you got me coming out of town. You may try to kill me. Okay. Now, apparently he didn't like that.
He didn't like my humor at all.
So he said, girl, bye. And I was like, ooh, please, let's literally be bye. Let's do bye. Let's do bye. Bye, bye, bye. And so you said, okay. Like, fool, bye. He wasn't ready to say bye. He proceeded to go off on you.
He went off on
You
me.
tripping. If that's what it takes, because you scared.
I'm scared.
Then he gives his last name. He's mad about having to give his last name, though. Like, if that's what you need, fine, here's my name.
I should not have been that hard.
Who's going out of town to spend time with a person like this? And then he says, you ain't got to come nowhere. Nice acting. I don't even know what that means. I assume that means you was acting foul. And so then you said, see that right there. I asked you a question and you going all crazy. Like, let's put the shoe on the other foot. How would you feel if your daughter was going out of town to meet a man that she met online and she didn't even know his last name? That was so polite of you, D. The D was being
I have
sweet.
grown so much. Thank you, Jesus. I can give honor to.
And then he says,
A
who
whole
went crazy?
You just did.
He's still mad.
He's still
right?
mad.
The D's being nice. I'm not asking you to do nothing. But get your stuff done, then you can focus on coming here. Stop the silly assuming. If you listen to what I'm asking, if nothing but love, out respect, some of this doesn't even make any sense.
Don't even make sense.
This is another red flag.
Another red flag.
If you are communicating with someone who struggles with literacy in any form, the written expression of the English language or otherwise.
Now, wait, we gonna stop because sometimes I text because you be like, "Sister, what the hell you just text?" And
I don't like how she be text.
I don't know.
The D be texting some messages
because I be probably texting 5 or 6 people at one time.
But your texting him were very literate. You wasn't sending him the crap you be sending me. Everything she texted made sense. It was the regular English language, not what she be hurriedly texting me. Okay. Apparently he was in a rush because half of this doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Stop the silly assuming. If you listen to what I'm asking, and y'all can't see this, I'm figuring out what these words are. Okay. Don't assume that any of this is spelled correctly. If you listen to what I'm asking, it nothing but love out respect. See, told you just by looking at you, you wasn't ready for a man to treat you like a queen, 100%. I covers everything in structure. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what that meant either. Not because you cute and you might have a body. And listen, not because you, just the you, cute, and you might
might have a good
MITE have a body.
Might have a body.
Period in front of the next sentence. But what WAT is that when WEN its apostrophe is missing, not lead, meaning led by God. Now he done went off on her.
And I'm put God in it.
And then wrapped it up by putting God in it. Did God sanction you talking to somebody like that? Being mean because she asked for your name?
Last name?
And so then the D asked, basically, did I read your text to me? I didn't understand what you were saying. And you asked him, did he poke shade? And, you know, he said, no, I didn't. He said, I didn't poke shade. He found it to be okay that he went off on the D. We only got a minute left here. I'm going to read this real fast. No, I didn't. Every man I'd not on the BS, sweetie. Not on the B. And the sentence makes no sense, okay? I'm saying I'm way too, T-O, old to play games. If being truthful is throwing shade, this is not it for me. I told you from the beginning, I'm looking for real. Can't handle that sweetness. We don't have to go no further. It's unfair to you and me. So he decided he dumping the D. And
dump me.
I take it he's saying he ain't got time to be sweet to you. He gonna tell you how it is, and that's what he did. Mm-hmm. You ain't got no business asking him his first and last name. And because that'll get you cussed out. Okay.
It got me cussed out. But I do want to say, in the midst of all that, that was 2 different individuals that
I thought it was 3.
Was it 3?
You sent somebody else. We ain't got time for that.
Oh, we don't got time for the nicer one.
Oh, she did send a nice one. Okay, so next week we're gonna give him because
we're supposed to go out on. Listen, we're going out Sunday.
There was someone who was very polite and respectful and appropriate, and I was like, see, now that's a nice guy. So that's our show for today. Please, everyone, do not ignore red flags. Anything that is in your list of red flags, please heed those warnings and move on. Just move on because it just gets worse. All right, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. And remember, worry about nothing
and pray about everything.
Thank you and God bless.
Bye-bye now.